My name is Molly Cameron. Today, I'm going to go to Freeland Spirits, the only women-owned and operated distillery in the United States. I got off the phone yesterday with the marketing folks from Benz Vans, and they requested that I put together a pitch deck or proposal. So my first thought was, why don't I give an example of the work and, my pitch is, this is what I want to keep doing. So this morning, I hopped in my Benz wagon and I drove down to visit my pal Jill at Freeland Spirits. There's a lot of really cool stories and fantastic people that work at Freeland, but what I wanted to do with this video was demonstrate the quality level and the style of video that I can do in an hour of shooting at one location with no assistance, 2 cameras, no lighting, minimal audio equipment, basically walking into a business and shooting documentary style footage. So let's roll down and visit Jill and see how the distillery is going.
Hi, I'm Jill Keeler. I'm the founder of Freeland Spirits in Portland, Oregon. Freeland Spirits is an all-women owned and operated distillery in Portland. We're making gin and bourbon. This tasting room that we're in right now has now been open for 2 years. Less than 2% of distilleries are owned by women. There are a lot of husband and wife teams. Here we're genuinely owned by women and distilled by women, which is we're really proud of. Molly, who's our master distiller, has a master's in distilling from Scotland, so she's a true pro. I like to mention that it's really important from a science perspective too. Women actually have more olfactory cells, more taste buds. So because men have always been running production, it's almost like there's this whole palate that doesn't exist in the world because women haven't been involved, and they have all of these actual sensory components to add to the process, which I think is super interesting and exciting. Background is in food and agriculture. I was running a nonprofit educational farm for 7 years where kids would go to learn where good food comes from, which may not seem like the most obvious segue in starting a distillery. But I have a rancher friend. She's out in Eastern Oregon, and whenever she comes to town, we drink whiskey together. And it was a fateful whiskey drinking night where we were thinking, you think of the terroir with wine, but not necessarily with your spirits. And so we were really thinking, this is a delicious whiskey, but where do the grains come from? And we don't know that story. So she'd always wanted to incorporate small-scale grain production on her ranch, and she was like, I'll grow it if you make it, and that was the birth of Freeland. So to me, every bottle that we produce here is an agricultural product. We really celebrate the best that the Northwest has to offer, and it's the real celebration. It's a celebration of our farmers and ranchers throughout the state. I drive a Mercedes.
No,
just kidding.